Hello and welcome to our daily market review and analysis Wednesday evening after the market close, and we will look at a few different groups fairly quickly because overall the general expectation in the market hasn't changed since my last recording on the weekend that I sent out. So today we'll have a look at overall market view, brief look at dollar index, and cover pound and euro currency pairs, specifically where we might be trying to stoke a long trade. So first of all, we will look at the equity market, and we are generally using Dow Jones Industrial 30 for the equity market. And just to give you a background, we've been rising since 2009, where it appears that we had this three drive up to give us, on my chart anyway, as to give us wave A in capital. Then we had retracement as a wave B in capital, and I believe we had a wave C in capital. So we've had like the first zigzag. Then we had this wave X, and after that, because we had a double zigzag here, we would expect the same in the next leg. So from the low we had in September 2011, I think we've had what I think is a wave A, and that wave A is actually WXYXZ. I don't think it's possible to label that as an impulsive unless you consider that as a rising wedge, in which case you could label this as 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, but either way it would still be wave A. Then the retracement wave B. So now we're in a wave C, and in a wave C, because we had a 5 waves here, we'd expect 5 waves in a wave C, and wave C normally do have 5 waves. So since the low we had in June 2012, you can see we've had a wave 1, wave 2, and we are currently in progression for a wave 3. So if I drop down to daily, then you'll see in the wave 3 we've got 1 in parenthesis, 2 in parenthesis, 3 in parenthesis, possibly 4, and we're in a final wave of 5. And in that fifth wave, I think we have got a minor 1, minor 2. This is minor 3, either finishing here or probably over there, because it could well be that this is like a large running 4 flat, like so, running flat, in a sense, meaning it's correcting, but it's correcting in the direction of the trend. So we might have 1, 2, 3, all of this here, possibly 4, and we've started a wave 5, and in which case we probably got 1, 2, 3, and therefore we've got a bit more upside left. So if this is 3, then get small retracement, and then finally wave 3 completing something like that over here, and it's there that we would then expect a bit further decline compared with what we've had so far along the way here. And whilst we remain above this blue line, we are still in a progression of this wave 3. So wave 3 I think has a bit more to go. It is not likely to collapse immediately. However, once that wave 3 is complete, then we expect ABC retracement back to what I think is the baseline for a wave 4. So the equity index currently still going up and has a bit more to go yet. Then we look at the oil. In the same way, the oil was declining with the decline of equity for a couple of days. Oil declined a bit more, and now the oil is trying to rally. And at this moment, it is difficult to know if, for example, that rally is simply retracing part of this drop, or is it going to head higher. So we would only know once we have a price action confirmed. My expectation is that if the equity market continues higher for a little bit longer, then this one will also probably go back up to retest this falling red resistance trend line. And once it's done that, then we will probably have this next leg down to coincide with the equity declining of similar sort of magnitude. So at this moment in time, we don't know, for example, if this is a minor triangle with a wave E finishing here, or whether we will go up and then drop back for a wave E to form a larger triangle. Most likely we will probably find this one, but we will not know until the price confirms whether it is likely to go straight through this declining trend line, or whether it is actually going to bounce around there or make a partial retracement of this drop and then continue lower. So oil a little bit uncertain, but still heading upward along with the equities. And up to now, since the beginning of February, the dollar index has apparently gone up with the equity index. So we've not had a great deal of this was the low here back in February. So back in February, the equity index continued up and the dollar index has continued up. But now it looks like the dollar index is still in an uptrend and has a bit more to go. And the oil seemed to have, the dollar index seemed to have topped. You can see over here that that top is very reminiscent of maybe a top in here, although the pattern is not exact, but you can see it's trying to create a rounding top. It's unlikely at this stage for it to, after having done that, suddenly to head up. And if it did, there would be a limited opportunity for it to go up, I think. If for example, we had another drive up, which I don't think it is likely, but if we did have one, then I think the upside would be limited, but I'm not expecting that. So I think we have already topped, and if you look at the RSI, you can see the RSI is in a full flight down. And basically, once we have this line taken out, which is not taken out yet, so we need a confirmation of that. Once we have that line taken out by the RSI, that would suggest that the price is most likely to continue down. But at the moment, it appears as though it has temporary support in this area here. But when I'm looking at overall, I seem to think that the dollar has topped. However, it is still possible that that is a larger wave 4, and it's very puzzling. So you can see that larger wave 4 is basically a price action that contains within this area here. And when you look at that area in a bit more detail, then I think from my perspective that this is wave 3, then we had a wave 4, and this one here looks to me like an ending diagonal. We can get some complex pattern going on, that is possibility, i.e. if this is 4, then we may have, for example, this leading diagonal. Instead of being wave 5, the leading diagonal could be well, this one here is 4, wave A. I think really that pattern has complete. That is wave 4, and this is leading diagonal is wave 5. And since then, I think we have a new downtrend coming. See, we had a very sharp sell-off, and it's possible that maybe this one here could be wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and then just to check and see if this is not the shortest wave. Okay, so it's not the shortest wave because it's longer than wave 1 and it's shorter than wave 3. Shorter than wave 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think coming down here, it could be that this is possibly minor 1, minor 2, minor 3, minor 4, and a 5. and then we are either doing a flat or we've got a little bit like a falling wedge, maybe something like this, and then over here something like that. So in other words, we've got this 1, 2, 3, retracement 4, we should expect another leg down like that, and that would complete the first 5 wave down. And then of course on the dollar index we'd expect a partial retracement of that. So we'd expect something like this, retracing some of that. And if you look at it on a horizontal basis, then in terms of the structure, see, we could come back to this area here where previously there was resistance, there was support, resistance. So maybe dollar index could come back. In fact, I'll just draw this line out. We could come back to that kind of level, which is about 82, 90 to maybe 83 before continuing down. And we will probably then begin to look like we've got a left shoulder, we've got a head, and we are now in the process of forming, or will be in the process of forming, a right shoulder, when we would expect the market then subsequently to continue declining into a new downtrend. Okay, so that's what we're expecting, a possible right shoulder on this 4-hourly chart on the dollar index. So if dollar index did that and equity market continues higher, then that looks like currently the relationship that they had where they both went together is probably in the process of changing. And so it should, because generally there is a negative correlation between dollar index and equity index. If the equity index go up, then the dollar index you'd expect it to come down. At the moment they're both climbing up, and that is probably likely to change and go back to their normal relationship where equity index going up and the dollar index coming down, or the vice versa. So the dollar index is currently weak, equity is still grinding up, dollar index has got a bit more downside left, and probably we might have a situation where we could get a low tomorrow, or maybe we may oscillate within this area for a little while and eventually form a low probably by Friday, dollar index bottoming for an intermediate bottom, then retracing ABC back up before continuing down. Okay, so we'll come back to that and some of the other dollar pairs in a moment, but let us now look at first of all we're going to look at the British pound pair. So on a British pound pair, the first pair we're looking at is a euro pound, and what I think on a euro pound here is, as you know, previously we have from the bottom here back in July last year, we've had a 5 wave up to give us wave 1 in bracket, wave 2 in bracket, then we had minor 1, A, B and C, so that gives us a flat, running flat, minus minor 2, then minor 3, minor 4 and minor 5. So that finished the wave 3 in bracket. Not there. So let's see, we put one on. So this one potentially becomes wave 3 in bracket, and in which case we are now retracing wave 4 in bracket, and in that it appears we've got wave A, wave B, and we are trying to form a wave C, and this one down appeared as though it was a wave C. So either we have finished a retracement and we should be now basically staircasing up, we should be staircasing up, or we've probably got a bit more downside. And what I mean by that is this drop is probably minor 1, minor 2, minor 3, currently retracing for minor 4, and soon we may have a minor 5, like that. Now if this is the case, then the correction will probably last for quite some time, because what it's got is this. If this was A, or rather 1, 2, 3, currently retracing 4, and it dropped here to 5, that only completes wave A. And then after that you'd expect a usual ABC retracement, and then expect another leg down when this particular correction is over. Okay, now alternately we've got wave 3 in bracket, and wave 4 in bracket is already done, because this is A, B and C, and in which case we would go up. We would basically head higher like that. Okay, so either we've got this scenario I've just pointed out here, with this being 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 ABC retracement and another leg down, or we've already finished all the retracement and we should be really beginning to head up. Okay, so we are uncertain exactly what this euro pound is doing in the shorter term. We look at the pound Swissy. The pound Swissy looks like has finished with its retracement up with an ending diagonal, and is now beginning to come down, and it looks like it's an expanding wedge, so that could well be a leading diagonal. So in which case, like, we've got wave 1, 2, possibly 3, retracing for 4, and will drop down for 5. So if that's the case, then it's quite possible that we are now almost in the early stage of a new downtrend to continue from where we left off. So again, we are dependent on some further price action to confirm for us exactly what is happening, but we are at the moment in a process of finding that the pound Swissy is now back into a downtrend. So that was the pound. Then we have pound CAD, and in a pound CAD we are trying to stoke a potential long entry, and there was a long entry here that we previously discussed, where we had, after the low here, we had bounce up, we've come down, retrace almost like 90%. So we've had A, B and C as in 90%. We have subsequently then shot up, and it looks like this could be 1, 2, 3, currently some sort of a triangle as a wave 4, which might look like this, for example. Something like that, maybe wave 4, and then eventually we would move up. So our original entry was at this level, where we were talking about potential entry around 153 area, or fractionally lower like 152.75 area. So this one appears as though it has matched. However, the progression of the price is somewhat puzzling. So I think what is going to happen is, if this was a wave 1, this might be A, B, C as a wave A, and you can see it's like a falling wedge. So this might be wave 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 as the wave A. Then we've done A, B and C back up here. So it is possible that we might actually now be trying to make our way back down here. And if we do, then that would be the day to enter long trade if we haven't already entered. And if we've entered, then we want to put a stop loss just below this low here, so we don't give back too much. And if this is continuing higher, then you might be able to take out a bit more. But if it seriously begin to break down from there, then we should liquidate, because we are looking for potentially this one as a falling wedge from the top. So that's a wave A, ABC back as a wave B, and we'll be coming down here to form a wave C, which could be back towards the retesting this low, or maybe making one slightly higher low. So We're still waiting for this one to give us the perfect entry, probably in the region of 153 area, 153 to 153.20 area. So we'll keep a lookout for that one. We've got pound New Zealand, and in the same way pound New Zealand has apparently done a new low. So the New Zealand seems to be fairly strong, and it looks like that this has now continued even lower. So we will have to wait and see when the pound is able to stabilize against the New Zealand dollar. Otherwise it looks like against the New Zealand dollar for a while we may continue straight down. Then one other thing I can do is put this on. So this, if you look at this decline from here, yeah, if you look at this decline, okay, so you look at this decline and project it from there, then we've already done 78%. If you did 1-to-1 ratio, then we'll be looking for pound New Zealand to drop to 177.40 area. So in that particular scenario, it looks like we've got some more downside to come. If you look at it on a daily, then we still are building potential divergence on the RSI, as you can see here. Not completely ideal, but nevertheless we are forming a divergence on the daily. So as soon as we finish pound beginning to start making up run, we could well be looking for a long entry in this area here. So ideally we're looking at somewhere around 177.50 area, 177.40, 177.50 area, where we could consider going long for this trade up. And whilst it's not materializing, I don't want to give it up, because I think it's going to come, just not quite ready yet. Okay, so it's still forming lower low, and even on a weekly now we have a potential divergence there in the making, divergence potentially being developed. So I think soon this pair will bottom out and give us an entry we are looking for, but we need other pairs to confirm similar bottom and progression to the upside. So that's pound New Zealand. Pound Aussie, like the pound New Zealand, is still falling. However, we did anticipate a bottom to be in this area, and I think this one will probably come and form that. And if you look at this from the low, it looks like we've had this one potentially as wave 1, ABC back as the wave 2, and then we are now looking to grow into the first one, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So if it's a 5 wave up, we're looking for A, B and C retracement. So essentially we should see a bottom there, or what we might see then is this, where we see a potential rally, another drop back to complete this entire retracement, and possibly a long entry, and we need a price action to confirm, but possibly a long entry anywhere from 140, 145, 1.45 to possibly here like 144.50 area, 145 or 144.50 area, where we will be looking for potential long entry. So in the meantime, there's nothing doing yet. I wouldn't want to try and trade some of these swings, 150, 200 pips, but it would be fairly unpredictable until we get this pattern confirmed. It is potentially being developed, but you never know. At the moment I am expecting possible a small bounce and another retracement when we will be ready to consider long on this particular trade. Okay, so that's pound Aussie. We will look at pound yen. The pound yen you see here is not quite finished, but it is very close to, and maybe it is in a process of forming sort of a wedge to end this particular cycle up. So it's possible that this is probably like 1, 2, maybe 3, 4, and it's trying to form that wedge to complete wave 5. And we should see similarly a divergence forming on the RSI. Okay, so I think that is all in order. We are probably in a very final stage of that. So let's go back again. Okay, so we're in a very final stage of that fifth wave being done, i.e. if this is 1, this is 1, 2, this is 3, coming down for 4, and then we want A, B, C. So we got A, well, A, B, C back as a B, and trying to form, so basically like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it'd be like this, a bit more downside, and then one final leg up, and essentially that would then complete this leg. But over a longer term, as you see, we've done a wave 1 in bracket, wave 2 in bracket, and currently trying to formalize that, and I think that will be wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, somewhere in that area. And in terms of general progression, we have already got into an area where we previously projected, and we looks like we may not hold there, we may continue higher. If we do, then there is a further targets up further up. However, what I am expecting more likely than not is that once we have this wave 5, is we're expecting a much larger decline, like so. So it will look like it's gone up to the other side of the pitchfork on the top, and we may actually come down. Okay, so this might be okay. What we should have had is actually wave 4 in bracket, and possibly wave 5 in bracket. And what I mean is that from the low here, it looks like we've gone up in a wave 1 in bracket, wave 2 in bracket, and then all of this up to here is wave 3 in bracket. Wave 3 in bracket. Okay, so what I mean by that is that starting from here, we go 1 in bracket, 2 in bracket, all of this wave 3 in bracket, and then eventually we are going to come back down, retracing some of this. It might only be up to here possibly, so retracing that and then going up for a final leg. So we are in the shorter term almost topping out, but shorting any of the yen pairs is going to be very difficult, although technically it shouldn't, because we're in an area. So for example, if we see that this particular little wedge almost begins to complete, then you can enter short, stop by stop sell order, say somewhere in the region of 151, ideally say 152, round it up 152, then your stop can be just above, maybe like 150 pips or so, because this is going to come back at least to test something like this here, and that is almost like 1300 pip. So it's a huge movement. Sorry, yeah, 1300 pip. So it is a fairly large retracement, and the first one of that magnitude. So from that perspective is the question of when this wedge completes, and where do you exactly draw it. Maybe here, and then what we got is maybe a parallel line like that, but that's a wedge. So as soon as we finish the wedge, then I think we are ready to short that one on a pound yen. And similarly, most of the other yen currency pairs are also very close to forming their intermediate top. So that was the pound. We look at the euro. We've looked at euro pound already, and the euro card also now has actually given us a long entry where we were looking for, but it looks like that we may already be forming minor 1, minor 2. Well, not quite, starts off from here. So we may be actually finishing almost that first wave up. We should get a retracement. So we're looking for entry around 131.10 area, or maybe fractionally lower, with a stop below this last swing. And we should, once that trade materializes, like the pound CAD, then we will be looking for this move to take off as a part of a wave 3. So this here is wave 1 in bracket, wave 2 in bracket. This may be wave 1 in Roman numeral bracket, wave 2 in Roman numeral, and this is first part of the wave 3 in Roman numeral. So there will be a fair bit of upside on these pairs once it does line up. But at the moment, if you haven't already entered and managing our stops, then we wait until we get a retracement of this first leg up, retracement, and that's when you can consider going long with a fairly relatively small risk. So as Euro CAD, Euro Swissy also is a potentially, as you can see, like a falling wedge. So daily chart. So I think here we got A, B and C to give us wave A, B, C back to give us wave B, and then it looks like we're in a wave C. And in a wave C we got 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So we're basically looking for one more drive down, and we will be then ready for going long on Euro Swissy if you felt that you want to consider that particular trade. I wouldn't particularly, because you can use the euro strength using another currency pair instead of Euro Swissy. But if you did want to consider Euro Swissy, then that is possible. Also, you might be able to draw a trend line here like this to help you identify the likely next low. So that one goes in there, this one comes here like that, and we could find ourselves with a low in this range here. Like that. And potential would be to retest the high. So there is an opportunity to trade Euro Swissy to the upside in the manner that I just explained. Euro New Zealand has formed this massive kind of a roundish top, and it looks like we are getting some kind of a cup. So I'm a little bit puzzled as to exactly what is happening with the Euro New Zealand. It may well be that my general perception of New Zealand and Aussie dollar are going to be the weak currencies. Well, so far at the moment they have still been eluding that. It is still mainly maintaining, the New Zealand still maintaining its strength, and hence the euro and both pound are both weakening against the euro, against the New Zealand dollar. So we still have some more downside, but I think the downside should not be indefinite, because see, looking down here, it looks to me that this is the wave A, triangle wave B, and we are now in a wave C, and within that wave C, which we start from here, it may be that we've actually completed third 1, 2, this is probably 3, where I've got here 1, A, B and C, we have 2, and then we've got this one doesn't quite, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 possibly. So maybe this here at the bottom is wave 3. This one here is a wave 3. and then we've gone up. um, 1 2 3, this is 4 and 5. Okay, so currently bounced in the 4, so we bounced up in a 4, and we are now coming right back down to retrace that. So what I'm going to do is take all this off. That doesn't help. So okay, so it looks like we've got, well, I'm actually a little stuck now with this. Previously I thought this was 1 and 2, then 1 2 3, but you can see it's not worked out. So I think what we may have here, more than likely, is we can do a trend line here, for example, and we can do a trend line like that. It's just about making it. So here we've got wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and wave 5. So if this is wave 5, then what we've got is 1 2 3 4 and 5. Okay, so one, okay, 1 2, then we have 3 here, 4 here, and this one probably 5. Not ideal again, but if that is 5 as sort of a leading diagonal, then what we do expect then in that case is we've got wave A, wave B, and wave C. So this may well be nearly finishing and ready to start making an uptrend again. Okay, so we have retraced already something like sorry, what's happening here? It should be the other way around. Okay, so we've already retraced 78% and even deeper. Okay, 88%. So if this is the correct count, then we should be looking for a potential leg up from there. Okay, this to me looks like 1 2 3 4 and 5 probably, and in this case we should be looking for leg to the upside. Okay, but of course if there is going to be this kind of potential support here for it to bounce from or continue with this new trend, then we should expect euro to have similar bottom against a couple of other currency pairs also. Okay, like New Zealand CAD, Euro CAD, for example. But we are currently retracing this, and also if you compare, this move is relatively clean, and this one I think is looking more like corrective, especially all of this here is more like corrective. But here we got 1 2, maybe this is 3, so we've got a bit more action to go on to here. Like so, and it might be toward the end of this week when that might play out, in which case we've got up to here we've got wave A, wave B, and wave C. Okay, so that's the Euro New Zealand. And then Euro Aussie is again, I think Euro Aussie has bottomed, and we are now looking for this retracement to the downside complete, and then basically continue to the long side. So it's a question of now just finding a retracement where we feel we can get a potential long entry. If you look at the decline, that decline should form, broadly speaking, like a bull flag. Okay, like a bull flag, like that, and like that, and we should really have that one. Even if we get a little retracement like this and then come down, ready for like that, so get A, B, C retracement, then we continue higher. So I think we've got a potential entry, but it's not immediately ready, probably sometime tomorrow. Okay, so that is the Euro Aussie. And then we will go over a couple of other US dollar pairs now. So the first one on the US dollar pair, let's take US Canada. So US Canada is currently, if you look at this here, it had this leg shot up and it's come down, and what this one looks to me, it's like A, B and C, and this C is giving me the look of possible like a if you do it from here, possible falling wedge. And what that means is that after this leg up is got A, B and C, with the wave C being potential wedge formation, and then we should see this one continue to the upside. And what this one needs is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you, for example, if we did this like that, okay, so we could get a situation where we got 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 to complete the Canadian dollar retracement US dollar Canadian dollar retracement, and then look for that to revert back to the downside. Okay, something like that is what we are looking for. Something like that. So the US dollar CAD, we are still potentially in this rising uptrend, and we hope to test that recent high before completing the 5-wave move of this particular cycle. And then we look at the euro pound, pound dollar. Now on a pound dollar, we've been saying that we've got a potential low here. Then we had a first leg up as a 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 ABC retracement, and we should now look for this continuing to the upside. Although this area here is beginning to puzzle me a little bit, because it looks as though, you see, it looks as though we've got -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. So this here appears to be one complete cycle, and then it looks like we've got wave A, wave B, and we are coming back down for wave C. And in greater scale of things, this would mean that we got 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for. So if I say pull this one back a little bit, like so. So we got 1 2 1 and 2. I put a triangle there, but really I don't think it is likely to be a triangle. So what we're expecting here now is for this one to decline, because it would have this 1 as a B and C leg down, and then we expect a further price action to the upside, and what that will complete is 1 2, then go 1 2 3 4 and 5. Okay, so that's basically how I think okay, so this one will come in as a 3, come in as a 4, like so. So we finish the 1 2 3 4 and 5. Okay, so basically staircasing up, and that will give us 5-wave sequence to the upside. But broadly speaking, as I said, bias to the upside on pound dollar. Now in the same way, the pound euro pound is also in the cycle up, but the waves are somewhat difficult, because when you get a couple of sharp moves like this, what happens is they hide a lot of things, and then you get all these overlapping messy waves here. So the best thing I can suggest for the euro, see, if we are above that line, which we are soon likely to come down, if we are above that line, we're still in the same particular wave. If we fall below that, then it looks like that whatever that wave is complete. Okay, so at the moment I've said this is 1, this is 2, then you go 1 2 3 4 and 5, so that gives me wave 3, and within a 3 we've probably got like an expanding diagonal. Okay, so we go expanding diagonal, in fact we go 1 2 3 4 and 5, so that gives us wave 3, 1 2, and then the 5 wave up is a 1 2 3 4 and 5 wave up to give wave 3. We're getting A, B and C retracement, and then we should see another leg higher. So I expect this, we've already had a wave A down, this is wave B down, and that would give us this 1 2 3 4 and 5. Okay, oh, this one should have been 5. So euro dollar is that we've got 5 wave up, within which you got 1 2 3 nearly done, A, B and C retracement, okay, something like that there. So we've got 1 2 3 4 and 5, which completes the wave 3, retracement 4, and then another leg 5, after which we would expect a retracement. Okay, and in that particular retracement we are looking for potential resistance here, so somewhere in that area we should be having a support before heading higher. Okay, 4 hour. So this is what it would look like. So once we finish 5-wave cycle, that wave 1 in bracket, wave 2 in bracket, and then we should continue up. Okay, so this one here would be wave 2 in bracket. Okay, wave 2 in bracket. during which time, as we've known, that we got potentially a leading diagonal for a dollar index, ABC retracement, and then continuing down. So for the euro, for that part, it's got one small retracement, another leg up to complete the 5-wave cycle, and then a slightly deeper retracement to the downside, then continuing higher. Okay, so I think that is all I needed to complete for the time being, and tomorrow we will go over the Canadian pairs or yen pairs, and yen pairs, as I've noted, is very close to topping out, and we may get a top fairly soon or possibly later this week. But if you look at the US dollar yen, it's come to an area which previously we were saying is 50% retracement of this entire decline, and that comes in around about 100, and we are there today just within a striking distance of that. See, at 99.76. So I think we are very close to an intermediate top in this area, from where we could expect a reasonable retracement, meaning that this is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Once that 5 is finished, then that would give us wave 5. When that finishes, it gives us wave 3 in bracket, from where a deeper retracement could follow. Okay, so where we would expect an intermediate top, then get a retracement, something like that. So most of the yen pairs are close to topping out, and we will probably have a top today or in the next day or two, probably by end of the week. Tomorrow Thursday, day after Friday, so most likely we will probably see a top. If not already there, we will see a top later tomorrow or probably Friday. See, look, it's basically completely curling out. RSI is saying the uptrend is over. Is potential a small last one is a final small wedge, little difficult to draw, but as you can see, like that. So soon as that's finished, then just like the pound yen, US dollar yen will probably also find an intermediate top. So that's all. Look forward to you joining me tomorrow. In the meantime, wish you well, and let me know if there's any question or comments as usual, and I will be more than happy to address it or attend to it in the next session.